For the second day in a row, the economy was front and centre. Inflation update yesterday and, of course, a speech from the Treasurer this morning. But for all the politicking, the economic update was heavy on the rhetoric of doom and gloom and pretty light on any solutions to fix it. Joining me now live from Canberra is the Shadow Treasurer, Angus Taylor. Angus, welcome. You were there for this speech, the update today from the Treasurer. Was there anything in his update, we'll get into the ins and outs of fixing the problem, but was there anything in the data that was a surprise to you?
Well, it was just data. I mean, it was basically forecasts. He spoke like a forecaster, not a treasurer, commentator, not a leader, Peter, and that was notable. But there was one aspect of it that I think was really remarkable, which is that they are now crab walking away from any meaningful increase in real wages over the next 3 years. Now, you'll remember very well, during the election campaign, there was very explicit promises from Labor that they were the ones who would be able to get real wages up and that people would be made wealthier as a result. What you saw in the forecast they've put out today is no meaningful increase in real wages in the next 3 years and a very significant reduction in the next 12 months. And I think this is now the second promise that's been broken this week. The first one that's very clear is that they're not committing any more to the $275 electricity price reduction. So I think these are really important developments. Labor is moving away from its election commitments, and they were very important election commitments.
A lot of talk today about tough medicine, but not much of a prescription. Where was the plan? Are we waiting for the October budget for the plan?
Well, you know, the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, said he was going to paint a picture. He didn't say he was going to give us a plan. Now, you know, we didn't have that luxury when we were faced with real challenges during the pandemic. We were expected to develop a plan and deliver on that plan almost immediately, and understandably so. I mean, we were faced with very difficult circumstances where there were important challenges to be addressed. But Jim Chalmers has decided that everyone can wait. He's going to take many months to come up with a plan. There was certainly no sign of it today, Peter, none at all. There was just forecasts and a bit of rhetoric, and that was about the end of it. I think Australians do want urgent action. I think there is real pain being felt at the Bowser, at the grocery checkout, when you renovate your house, if you're building a new house, if you're buying furniture, all of those things, there's real inflationary pressures. That was clear in the data yesterday. The right thing is for the government to come forward and say, this is what we can do to help to alleviate these pressures.
I've never met a Labor government that will say no to spending, to interest groups that cross the threshold. Yeah. Indeed, I've never really met a Labor Treasurer that will stop his colleagues around the table spending money. I remember how tough it was, that first Abbott budget, to try and claw back the largesse out of the Rudd-Gillard years. They were baking in spending over 10 years, but the budget's forecast over 4. Are you confident Labor can bring this spending under control? I mean, how concerned are you that their election promises and their spending instincts are going to, you know, inflame inflation?
Well, it's an excellent question, Peter. I'd make a couple of observations. The first is, what's different about this economic challenge from many that we've faced in the past, the global financial crisis, the Asian financial crisis, other economic challenges we've faced in the last 20 years, is if you throw spending at a period, when you've got a period of high inflation and higher interest rates, you just make it worse. You simply add fuel to the fire. So that's not the right answer. Now, can Jim Chalmers find a way to get to budget restraint with his colleagues? That's just not how Labor works. There is a long queue at his door right now of ministers and other vested interests that Labor owes as a result of the election, asking for money. And his capacity to say no will determine whether or not he can genuinely deal with these inflationary and interest rate pressures. My strong bet is he won't be able to resist those pressures.
Going into Christmas, you know, business like a bit of confidence. It's incredibly important for the economy. This speech was a real downer. I don't imagine October's going to be any better. What's it going to do to confidence?
Well, I think it will have an impact. I think he's very happy to to have an impact on confidence. I think that's an unfortunate byproduct of what he's doing here, which is talking everything down, telling Australia how bad things are. In fact, there are many very bright points in the economy, incredibly low unemployment. Of course, we've had a period of very low interest rates, a very strong economic growth. The economy is materially bigger than it was before the pandemic, which I think is important. Yes, there are challenges, of course, and many of those challenges are global. They're not of Australia's making. But talking it down is not the right answer. The right answer is taking serious action. And those actions including managing the budget, making sure the supply pressures are being dealt with, getting pensioners, for instance, into the workforce by giving them incentives, which is what we've proposed over recent weeks, making sure that you're getting the right productivity initiatives in place. I mean, this week that they've decided, or they're proceeding to eliminate the ABCC, which of course drives productivity in the construction sector. We've got very high construction costs in this country, but Labor's taking away a critical institution that you know well, Peter, that helps to deliver us the productivity we need. So all of these things tell us that Labor's not really serious about addressing this problem. The result will be the Reserve Bank will have to do more of the work, and that means higher interest rates than you would otherwise have.
And we've got a meeting of the Reserve Bank on Tuesday. Angus Taylor, thank you for your time.